Welcome to the Beyond Jiu-Jitsu podcast. This is episode number 86. And today we got a little bit of a different topic. We're going to be talking about our personal top 5 BJJ accomplishments, moments, highlights.
Who's talking about what? Introduce yourself, Kieren.
My name is Kieren. Introduce yourself, Adam.
My name's Adam.
Let's get into it. Kieren Lefebvre here, blue belt under Adam Childs.
Yeah, we're here to talk about top 5 jiu-jitsu accomplishments / not necessarily accomplishments, but I just wanted to talk about kind of some of my top moments. Okay. For me, obviously where I am in my career, it's going to be, if we did this episode again in a year's time, maybe I would remove one thing and add something different. But for you, obviously, if we did this again in a year, all 5 of your top 5 might change, because it's still at the beginning of your jiu-jitsu journey. So, but even then, I'm sure there's been, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that have accomplishments, the wrong word. I'm sure there's moments where you've been like, whether it was you had an epiphany on some technique where it just clicked and you're like, because I've had heaps of moments that in terms of on a professional sport point of view are so insignificant, like it's a nothing. But for me, it was a significant moment, right? Because whether it was, like I said, something just clicked and you were like, something happened and it was super significant to you. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to talk about, some of our top moments in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Scratched them all out.
Okay, I did not understand the assignment. You go first, Adam.
So I do first. One that I kind of want to say, but also not say because.
Well, don't say it, bro.
All right, next. No, well, kind of goes without saying, I guess. One of my top moments or accomplishments would be, getting my black belt, but it's kind of a bit cliche. I think that one's a gimme. So I don't necessarily.
There goes 3 of mine.
No, you can do yours because yours.
My first strap, my second strap.
Yeah, first strap, second strap, third strap, fourth strap, blue belt, done. Yeah, episode over. Because that's
You got to include it. You're a black belt.
Okay,
you got to include it. If like someone listening to this and be like, if he doesn't say if I can get in black belt, well, we got it out of the way,
Well, okay, we can talk a little bit about it.
Do we have to?
Well, because it was slightly anticlimactic for me. And I'll tell you why. It's interesting because my only black belt at the moment as of recording is Joey from Jungle Brothers from Bulletproof for BJJ. And they did an episode on their podcast talking about, Joey getting his black belt and me just spending a lot of time with Joey, talking to him as well about, it's something if you're pursuing jiu-jitsu, you think about it a lot and you see other people get their black belts and you think what your moment's going to be like. And long story short, I remember Joey saying in that episode and just talking to him that when it happened, it was kind of just, I don't know if surreal's the right word, but it just wasn't, it took some time until it sunk in, I guess. And I remember for me, leading up to it, I got my black belt at like an expo sort of thing. It was in Vegas at the
World Masters Championship 2019.
2018.
Fuck. Wrong shirt.
And it was kind of at this sort of seminar thing we had with Fabio and that, and it was, it was cool. But I'll tell you why it was anticlimactic, because there was only one, maybe 2 of my training partners from Brazil who happened to be there. And leading up to it, like I'd spent my whole jiu-jitsu career in Brazil. I saw all fellow teammates get belts and whatever and give their speeches. And I just always sort of envisioned getting my black belt like at my home gym in Brazil.
Why wasn't it in Brazil?
because I had already moved I'd already moved to Australia as a brown belt. I'd moved back and I'd been back to Brazil did I go? I don't think I went back to Brazil as a brown belt. By the time I'd gone back to Brazil, I'd already got my black belt because I was seeing Fabio. Like, even though I had moved back to Australia, I saw him in Atlanta at the Alliance headquarters there, and then I saw him twice in Vegas. So I still traveled and saw him and trained with him, just not in Brazil. But yeah, I always
sucks. Yeah.
And I remember, I'd played through my head so many times, like what I would say in my speech, and it was always in my head. It was always in Portuguese because it was going to be happening.
You want to give your speech now, Adam? I'll mute my mic. Take it away. Give your speech in Portuguese.
And you'll have to put all the subtitles. Yeah. But then it happened in Vegas and it was fine, but it was in front of a bunch of people I don't know. What was cool though was that it wasn't just Fabio. Gigi was there. Gigi and Jacare were there, the other two founders of Alliance. Bernardo Faria was there, who's someone who I've known for many years. Cobrinha was there. But, oh God, this is so cringe. I don't know where the video is. Someone has the video. And I didn't even know this happened until my friend Ari was like, bro, you just ghosted Cobrinha so hard. So I don't know Cobrinha that well. Like, I've met him, I've trained with him, but he had already left Alliance São Paulo when I was there. So he's not like Lengy and Bernardo and that, who they were there training at the same time as I was there. He had already moved to the US. And yeah, so I got my black belt and there's a video of this somewhere. God, it's so cringe. So Fabio gave me the black belt and I like shake his hand and hug him. And then there's Jacare, shake his hand, hug him. Then there's Gigi, shake his hand, hug him. Then there's Bernardo, shake his hand, hug him. And then there's Cobrinha right there. And I'm caught up in the moment. And as like I would have turned to Cobrinha, and Cobrinha's got his hand out to shake my hand. Fabio's like tapped me on the shoulder and said, "You've got to give a speech." And I just turned around and just and then you see Cobrinha just go, "Oh," and then he just pulls his phone out.
Oh no.
Bro, it's so bad. And then
That's hilarious.
And then I messaged, and then I didn't even know this happened. Because it was all just in the moment. And like I said, it was at a seminar. There were hundreds of people, and
unintentional, right?
Completely unintentional. But then when Ari sent me the video and I was like, oh, dude, I felt sick to my stomach. I was like, oh my God. And I messaged Cobrinha and I was like, dude, no, I didn't mean for that to happen.
What did he say?
It just, so I was like, Fabio tapped me on the shoulder. He said, "You got to give it a speech." I was so overwhelmed. Man, I said something I wonder if I've still got the message actually. Hang on.
It's like 20 paragraphs, tear soaked. I love you.
Let me see if
Don't hate me.
It's like I don't have the message there anymore. But yeah, and I was like, man, you're one of my idols. I would never do anything to disrespect you. Please, man, I'm so sorry. It was just, I can't believe I didn't shake your hand then when you went to congratulate me. I got so overwhelmed. Please, I'm so sorry. Yeah. Bruh. He just ghosted me. He just left it on red, bro. He never wrote back, and I haven't spoken to him since.
Fuck, man. That's a real downer. I feel,
bro.
I have
so bad.
I have secondhand embarrassment right now. I
know, right?
I hate cringe shit. I can't stand cringe. I don't know.
Yeah, but then I just,
fuck it. No,
after a while, I was like, hey, fuck you, bro.
Fuck you, man, you ghosted me, bitch.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, okay, you're one of
my heart out.
You're one of the best jiu-jitsu fighters of all time, but fuck you, bro. It was my moment then and I got swept up in it.
And don't make this about you, Cobrinha.
Yeah, man, okay, I know if you look at that video, it looks terrible, but fuck, man. I couldn't have given you a more sincere apology. Man, fuck you. But anyway.
Don't worry about it. Tell us what you really think, Adam.
Don't tell him I said that. Cobrinha, don't listen to this episode. I'm sure you're a big listener of our podcast. But anyway,
black belt.
It's obviously, getting a black belt was always one of my goals. So, I mean, I would say it's probably one of my biggest accomplishments in life. Last episode, on episode 85, we were talking about opening a gym, and I said how I didn't go to uni. I actually didn't even finish. Well, I finished the first part of high school, but then the elective part of high school I didn't choose to do. So I didn't have a fallback, so it's I don't have some other degree or anything. It's my biggest professional accomplishment for sure, because as anyone listening would know, I'm not a world champion or anything, so I don't have any of those accomplishments. So I got to make ones up.
Yeah. Cool.
Your turn, bro.
Man, mine is like...
I know they're next to mine. They're going to sound shit.
Mine's shit house. Like I'm looking at my list. I'm like scratching shit out like fuck.
Okay, hang on. Let me give another one. So now let me give one that's more of a moment.
Okay.
Yep. So you're a
shitty one. Got it.
So you're a bit more on board with what I'm talking about.
Send it. Full send.
So one of my best moments in Jiu-Jitsu was, and I might have told this on the podcast before, but I'll just rehash another anecdote. Tell the anecdote again. So we were doing this specific training so you've heard this before. You're already nodding. So why don't you do yours? You know what I'm trying to say.
No. Please. The listeners.
The listeners.
It's not about me, Adam. It's about them. We love you.
Whatever, Cobrinha.
If this becomes an insult, this podcast is going to get a lot of hate. Like, why do these guys hate Cobrinha so much?
Cobrinha's a dude, bro. He's always been super nice to me and everything, except since I ghosted him. Oh, shit. Oh, God, I'm feeling sick just rethinking about it. So we were doing this specific training, and it was point specific. Yep. You had to score points to like win, to stay in, and then your partner would change. And I was with this guy, Vitor was his name, about the same size as me, but a little bit like more muscly. So he probably had 5 to 10 kilos on me.
Damn.
I was a purple belt. He was a brown belt. And I was with him, half guard on the bottom. And there were a bunch of people in their groups. And Fabio was like, all right, guys, keep going until like points are scored, then we're done. And every other group had finished except ours. And I remember when we were there for ages and the whole class is waiting for us. And then Fabio's like, come on, guys, let's fucking go. And I remember, I kept trying to, he's so close to passing my half guard. I kept trying to sweep him and I ended up like coming up on a single leg. And then it was like, man, it was the world. The whole gym, this was comp training, and it's just like a whole gym packed with, all my kind of idols, like Bernardo and Langy and all these people, and everyone's cheering. I've come up on the scene like, hey, go Adam, go. Like I took him down, and then like a comp, he's fighting with everything not to concede, and they're like, everyone's screaming, and I like held it for the 3 seconds, and everyone was like, shit, and I was like, I felt like, man, I felt superhuman. And even though that was just, wow, you swept someone in training, bro. Like that moment was, I don't have, let's be real here. I don't have that moment, and nor will I ever have that moment of sweeping someone with 10 seconds to go to win the world title.
Not many people do, let's be real.
And that's true as well. Not many people do.
Yeah.
Like it didn't play out like that for me. But, I've got these moments, and that moment is still, really sort of like, oh man, I just still remember that sweep, that training, and it was fucking awesome. And I remember just feeling like, I felt so good. Yeah. So that's awesome. One of my top moments, right, in Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah, it was just a sweep. And a lot of the moments will be you had to be there. But it was important to me. Give us a moment, Kieren.
All right. Well, I want to go to a moment now. I wasn't actually going to mention this one, but I have to. So my fondest, if you will, moment in training has got to be, I know he listens to some of the episodes, so I apologize in advance to Ollie, but it was this one time where Ollie, a purple belt, I was a white belt at the time, I think. Maybe I might have been a blue belt by then, but regardless, he's a purple belt. He basically had, he had me in, I think he had my back, and he was like going for the choke. Basically, I was fucked. Like he'd passed me, swept me, took my back, and I'm like, I'm in a bad position. However, the way it played out is I ended up.
I think I know where this is going. You were a blue belt. This wasn't long ago. If this is
must have been a blue belt. Yeah.
Think it's going.
Basically, what happened is I did the exact opposite to what Ollie did to me. So he passed my guard, took my back and tried to choke me. I then escaped, swept him, passed his guard into mount, took his back, and then choked him out.
Yeah, this wasn't that long ago. And Ollie was furious.
Man,
I remember I didn't see it all happen, but I remember having Ollie be like, fuck. And he's just like slap it, like just bang down on the mat.
Like stomped off, kicked the water bottle.
Yeah, he was furious. But that's all right,
he was
man.
only mad because of the way it played out. Like he wasn't mad that he got subbed by me. Like he gets it. But the fact that he passed me, mounted me, took my back, and then let me escape, sweep him, pass him, and mount him and take his back. Like it was the exact sequence in reverse.
Yeah.
And man.
Yeah, man, that's a top moment, right?
Yeah, it's funny.
And he was
Poor bastard.
Yeah, there's times, man, I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of a specific one, but I've had heaps of moments in training where I've lost my cool, or I've left the gym sometimes pretty much like with my eyes watering, almost freaking crying because it's been so traumatic, you know. I think anyone who pursues jiu-jitsu enough, you got to have some level of competitiveness in you, and sometimes, you know, the stars align, and you know you can lose your cool. I mean, I've never lost my cool as in had a fight break out or anything. I've seen teammates like start fighting, you know, when emotions run high. But when you put it, this wasn't, I wouldn't describe it as a room full of competitors, but when you put a room full of competitors comp training and no one wants to concede even an advantage to the other person, and, you know, people lose their cool sometimes. So that's a top moment, bro.
Yeah, it was pretty
and
funny.
that, you know, and that might be a moment that'll resonate with you, or at least be in your mind. Even, you know, like I just told a story about when I was a purple belt.
Yeah.
That was years ago.
Yeah.
You know, that moment might stay with you for fucking, you know, you might be a black belt still being like, oh, I remember this time I was training with this guy and this and this and this happened.
Yeah.
And
it's pretty funny.
yeah, that's a great moment. That's a great moment. All right. So on to the next one. This one, I guess you could talk about it being, you know, I guess it's still more of a moment than an accomplishment. Well, I guess it's probably competition-wise for me, one of my bigger accomplishments, which was not a big important competition. It was just winning a comp that paid my ticket to the US to fight the Pans, but it was just the mental battle I had for this comp. So JT, James from Bulletproof for BJJ, we know each other from Brazil, and he was doing my S&C leading up to this competition, and it is the most punishing like strength and conditioning I've ever done. I remember one workout in particular, man, like I think I just became lactic acid. I just was one with lactic acid. I remember at the end of it, like I couldn't even stand up, and he wouldn't let me sit down. He's like, no, you got to get up, keep walking, walking.
Tie your belt, boy.
Keep walking. Dude, like it was horrible. Anyway, I prepared really hard for this competition. I had 3 fights. First one was some dude, I don't know. But then the second fight was with a guy who the last time I fought him, he beat me. And then I beat him. I can't remember how. And then the final was with another guy who had more recently beat me in a comp in the local sort of São Paulo circuit. I say local. São Paulo's got like 35 million people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like
shit, I didn't even know that.
The state of São Paulo has something like that, actually.
And every time you talk about
Jamie, pull it up.
Pull it up, Jamie.
São Paulo is a city, but it's also a state.
Right. Every time you talk about São Paulo, for some reason, I imagine like a place that's smaller than Sydney.
Bro.
I got that so wrong.
Bro.
Well, there you go.
The metro area of São Paulo, so just the city, is 22 million.
Holy shit. Well, I've got this completely fucking backward.
Yeah. Let's see what the state. This is just like quick Google. I'm not looking at a census, so I'm not sure how
you haven't counted the census yourself, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's what it says. The São Paulo metro area, they say is
22 mil.
Is 22 million.
Oh, right. Okay. Yep.
There's a lot of people.
So you're in the local circuit.
Yeah, in the small local São Paulo circuit. Yeah, and then so the final I had to fight a guy who had more recently beaten me. And so I just remember I don't personally have the strongest competitor mentality. You know, like I've seen a lot of guys in the gym destroy world champions, but when it comes to competition, they don't have the best competitor mentality, you know, and I think the mental side of competing is a huge component. And I feel quite confident in my ability to coach people with that because I've had competition success, but I also lack a lot of the sort of things that are needed to have to be a good mental competitor. So I can kind of really stand in that like, well, don't do this and this because it's what I do and it's wrong, you know. Anyway, so for me, it was a big mental hurdle to not only fight one dude, but fight two dudes that I had lost to, not previously as in, when we were white belts. It was like the previous
Most
competition,
recent.
super recent, I'd lost to these guys. And and I had JT there coaching me. And I just remember in the final beating that guy with a moment where I kind of passed his guard, but he turned to turtle or something, and he tried to, or I had passed him and then he tried to turn to turtle, something like that. And I remember just like cross-facing him so hard and just being like, no, bro. And I just felt him give up. Like I felt him just go, I'm done.
If ever you've competed and your opponent has given up, you can sense it immediately. It's like blood in the water as a shark.
So good.
Yeah.
And that winning those selectives, like that was, you know, okay, it ain't no black belt world title. It was a blue belt competition, but for me, it felt really important. And, you know, I unfortunately didn't go on to win the pans. I got bronze in weight and absolute. This was when Bering Bolos first started coming out, and I didn't get boloed, but I got swept from Bering Bolos, and both matches I lost by just 2 points. And both matches I had re-swept or taken down the opponent in both weight and absolute that would have put me back in the lead, but both times we fell out of bounds. Big mistake of not having correct mat management. Anyway, just winning the selectives was awesome, you know. Winning the pans would have been better, but hey, that was a big important moment for me because it was also proof of putting in hard work in preparation. Because I remember being tired in the final, and I remember just thinking it's not possible that I'm more tired than this guy. Like it's physically impossible. There's no way, you know, like. Water boils at 100 degrees. This dude's more tired than me. There's no, like I've prepared for this like nothing I have in my life.
Dude, that little mental cue, you taught me that fucking ages ago now, and I use that even to this day. Not only in competition, but in training as well. Whenever I'm feeling gassed and like feeling, you know that little voice that just whispers to you like, just give up, bro. It's okay, just give up.
Yeah.
Anytime that
Mom?
Anytime that little voice comes in my mind, I just tell myself it is absolutely impossible that I am more tired than this person. It cannot happen. It's not possible.
Yeah. And so that was also proof of that you put in the work and that the results will speak for themselves. It was also the first time I did a really good not weight cut. I didn't have to lose much weight back then because I was younger and thinner. But it was when I did cut weight, I prepared nutritionally much better than previously. And it just all kind of came together. Yes, it was just some small selective competition.
Still.
But it was the way I prepared for it and it all happened. It was significant to me.
Yeah, that's sick.
Back to you, bro. Give us another moment.
Fuck. Well, I would have to say my next big moment, I was going to use like promotion and stuff, but I think sticking with this theme of moments was winning my first blue belt comp. So I went into a comp. This is in the gi. I compete in both, but I lost my first no gi match, unfortunately. But winning my first comp at blue belt.
Just remind me, this comp, I remember I wasn't at this comp.
No,
this was one.
This one was like the very start of this year, and it was like the first comp of the year. Just some local comp. Was up in
Sydney Olympic Park or something?
No, it was up in North Sydney. It was like DY or something like that. And so Alliance Northern Beaches was there in numbers. So shout out to Fab.
Yes, that's right.
We've had Fab on the podcast before. legend. Anyway, so I think it's so big because I went into and I spoke about it on the podcast. The long-term listeners would remember the way we were talking about this beforehand. It was kind of like, what do I have to lose? You know, I just got promoted to blue belt like 2 months ago. This is my first comp at blue belt. Who gives a fuck? Like if I win, lose, draw, doesn't matter. Like just go in and try my best. And I wasn't expecting to win, and I fucking just smashed the field like in gi. It was just breeze through, and I'm like, hang on a minute, I am a blue belt. You know what I mean? It was that realization that hang on a minute, like holy shit. Yes, I just got promoted, but this goes back to many episodes we've spoken about belt standards and how not everywhere has the same standards. I'm not saying that my competitors weren't good, like. The guy that I beat in the finals, he went on to in like a month later, he went down to Melbourne for the national championship and he took that out the same weight. So, they're good competitors. I'm not talking shit about the field, but just having that realization that, hang on, bro, I can hang.
Yeah.
We can hang with the blue belts. This is not, the level difference isn't crazy.
But that's the correct mentality. Some people get their next belt and then they go, oh, I gotta wait. And man, you wait until you're then a 4-stripe blue belt. You're putting all this pressure on yourself to be thinking that you're near your purple belt, and then you get smoked. Exactly like you said, you got nothing to lose.
Nothing.
Go in and, and that realization of like, hey, I am a blue belt. And someone such as yourself who competes, like I'm not going to give you a purple belt until, okay, I'm not going to give it to you going, okay, Kieren should be winning every comp at purple. No, but I'm not going to give it to you until I know you can hang at purple.
Exactly.
And, have the potential to win at purple.
Yeah.
I don't think that's sandbagging. It's fucking standards, bitches.
Yeah, it's standards. So yeah, you shouldn't, like, I agree, particularly if you are a competitor. I mean, I'm just going to parrot you because this is all I know. But like if you're a competitor and you go from white to blue, you shouldn't go into your first blue belt comp and get absolutely smashed in the first round. No. Like by the, it depends.
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously it can happen,
obviously, it always depends. Because then in conversely to that, in my no-gi fight, I was up against the guy and we ended up going to ref's decision, and I lost on ref's decision. He did end up winning, which it doesn't matter because as you've said before, no man, like if you lose a match, the guy that you lose to should be so fucked that they can't even stand, let alone win the next one. But whatever. So he I think he had been a blue belt for quite a while. And regardless, I'm not trying to come up with excuses. I fucking lost on ref decision in no-gi. So if that was my only match of the day, then I would have, lost first round in my first blue belt comp. So yeah, and I don't know. I think that was just a good realization for me that I am a blue belt and I can hang.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Back to me, I guess. So this would probably be one of the more significant moments, and it's definitely of opening the gym, right? Like that was what I worked towards my whole time in Brazil, and I'm not sure if I've mentioned this before. Maybe I have, but the day before the gym was opening, so it was on a Sunday. We were opening on the Monday. On that Sunday, we found out we were pregnant with Atlas. So I remember it was like, oh fuck, this has to work, because we're about to have a kid, and as we know, it has worked out. But the moment, that's definitely probably, I guess, not a moment. The moment itself wasn't some necessarily memorable thing.
It's like an experience.
It was a bit of a clusterfuck actually opening the gym, because I had a delay with the mats. And you asked, there's some people in the gym, ask like Dan and Jake, some of the OG members, like who remembers the old mats. Man, they were so bad.
Oh, you had mats before these mats?
Yeah, bro. So those mats were delayed, the shipment.
Oh.
And so then the gym was opened with, I was quite fortunate to have a few different people come together and lend me jigsaw mats, but none of them fit together because they were all different brands. So I had these jigsaw mats that were just like all gaffer taped together, and because they weren't my mats, I couldn't cut them like to fit in the corners properly. So there was bits of exposed wooden corners.
Right. So you were doing like no stand up or anything?
Oh no, we're doing it all, bro. Fuck. We're doing it all. I wonder if I've got any.
Oh, so they were the high quality ones?
No.
Okay, never mind. Fuck me.
No.
You guys are crazy.
They were, I think, I'd have to go back to like very old Alliance Sydney Instagram posts.
Wow, with the jigsaw.
Yeah,
I'll have a stalk. I'll see what I can find.
But you'd see the very old shitty mats, bro. And yeah, they were quite painful. So it was a bit of a clusterfuck, the actual opening of the gym. But just that as an accomplishment is definitely one of my biggest. I have to go way back on Instagram. Is definitely one of my biggest accomplishments for sure. Like I said, I can't sit here and say, well, world champion, but I opened a gym that to this date is successful.
Yeah, that's huge.
So that's a short one. That's
huge. Not, and even just running a successful small business, not many people make it. You know what I mean? Like, fuck, give yourself some credit, bro. Man, I've like nearly expired all of my points.
I've got so many more.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm trying to narrow it down to 5. Do you want me to already just do another one?
Yeah, fuck, send it.
I kind of want to see your reaction on video seeing these mats, bro.
Yeah, get that reaction. Zoom in. Well, look, I'll take an easy one. I think another big moment for me was competing for the first time. And it's ironic. If you don't know, my first comp, I was a 2-stripe white belt. I'd been training for 3 months, I think, and I was just frothing. Like, I was frothing on jits. I was training so much. I was just absolutely loving the sport. Still am. Still training just as much. Anyway, first competition I did in no-gi, I lost the final due to getting choked the fuck out. I went cold. Great time. But then I came around and I won the no-gi in my first comp, beating out a few guys, which was great. But it was kind of like the realization that kind of similar to the whole, I was explaining, winning first blue belt taught me that I could hang out with the blue belts, blah, blah, blah. But this was like different because it was like the first taste of it, it's first taste of victory. And it's kind of like, hang on a minute. Like I have about 3 months of experience. I'm beating out guys that are looking at their blue belts. This could be something. I could be competitive. I'm not saying I could be a world champion, but I could be competitive. And so it was a good realization. So that was a really big moment. Very cliche, but yeah.
No, but for sure you have that moment of like, hey, like similar to the blue belt one. Hey, I can hang, I can do this,
Yeah, we can do this. Yeah.
My my sort of last moment, I guess. Well, I've got heaps, right? Like one of the other ones, I don't want to actually, God, I'm trying to narrow it down.
I'm like trying to scrape together 4 like shitty fucking, I went a white belt.
Because I don't want us to run out of time. Another a super fun moment. I'll keep this one brief because I do want to mention a couple of other ones. Was this one time that I swept Fabio from half guard despite his best efforts not to get swept.
Oh.
And I remember, God, it felt good. And it was also with only, 10 seconds left or something. Man, it was like him with Ollie, because I remember if you don't know Fabio, he's known for brutal top pressure, right? And yeah, like you being on the bottom with Fabio is not what you want. And yeah, I remember trying to bridge. I was doing this particular sweep that I do that's I never actively look for this sweep because it's a sweep you do when they've got the crossface and the underhook. It's, kind of your last ditch effort sweep.
Right.
So I would never actively go to this position, but that's where I was because I was against Fabio. And I think I was a blue belt at the time. Maybe I was a purple, one of the two. And I remember tried the sweep, bridge, blah, blah, blah. And I got it right in the end and there's only 10 seconds left and Fabio's desperately trying not to let me consolidate the sweep. And I remember when the time ran out, it was like with Ollie, he was like, fuck. He was like, fuck, I didn't, he wasn't furious like Ollie was because he's like, it's fucking nobody blue belt or whatever. But I just remember, I remember being so glad the clock ran out too because I was otherwise I was in for an ass whooping,
Yeah, they were going to turn
because it reminds me, actually one time I was training with Langy and I swept him with this beautiful fucking spider guard lasso arm drag sort of sweep thing. I'll show you one time. And it was fucking beautiful and it was so clean and it was just man, money. And I swept him and then he was instantly like, hell no. It's swept me back, passed me, choked me out. And I was like,
just smashed you.
Straight away. Not even as in, and then he got me. It was 10 seconds later, he had swept me, passed me, choked me, and I was like, no.
Levels to the game.
Yeah. Another one that is definitely for me a big moment or accomplishment is just actually surviving that time in Brazil. I ran into someone the other day who I know through Jiu-Jitsu. I don't see them a lot, but I just ran into them, and he knows a bunch of people in Jiu-Jitsu and knows a bunch of the younger up-and-coming Australian competitors. And he was like, yeah, man, those guys always talk so fondly of you. They're always like, oh, man, Adam, no, that's like a legit black belt. Adam went to Brazil when it was like not real friendly to gringos and stuff. And yeah, I guess that's kind of when I was there, I've said heaps of times it was just me and my friend Ali were like the only foreigners who full-time lived and trained there. The foreigners who came and went and passed through were always treated really well, but me and Ali were always treated like outsiders because we lived there. Like, especially in the beginning, it was kind of like we were stealing their secrets or something. So just, I don't know, maybe some Australians have gone to Brazil, whether it's jiu-jitsu related or not, and they've loved living there. But for me, it was really hard, 5 years there. I remember we moved to São Paulo on a Monday, and by Thursday, I was like, fuck this city. And my opinion of it never changed.
Fuck, man, that's so rough.
Like, I really didn't enjoy living there. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's lots of good things. The people are amazing. Obviously, the jiu-jitsu's amazing. The food's amazing. But, it was just for me, I don't want to go too much into it because I'm not sitting here just to crap on São Paulo, but it was just a hard time living there. Even though my wife's Brazilian, she doesn't have family in São Paulo, so it wasn't like we were with family or anything. It was just a hard time, and we lived it really rough. And, I had 3 surgeries while I was in Brazil. So it was just a hard time. So for me, like graduating my jiu-jitsu university, that's definitely also, I mean, I would put that up there with like getting my black belt and opening the gym, just actually making it through that.
You were there for 5 years,
Brazil.
man. Like,
yeah.
That's a fucking long time to be grinding out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the whole time was a bit of a grind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 years, like hard training every day,
Yeah, and in that 5
ends
years,
meet.
I only visited Australia once. So I only came home once in 5 years for a holiday. So it was pretty hard. But, yeah, I'm glad I did it. I think it gave me the qualifications and everything that I have now. Before we run out of time, I did want to – the last one – I want to mention. I know your list is you're running out of stuff, Kieren.
My list is dog shit, mate. You can fucking you take over, bro. I'm clutching at straws here, buddy.
Kieren's like, and that time, that first time I really like the knot in my belt was just.
Oh mate, the way I tie that belt. Actually, that is a highlight of mine. Learning how to tie my belt. Eat a dick.
Is maybe a bit more sort of profound, I guess. Maybe that's the wrong word. But when I have students or parents like talk to me and say, again, I had someone this morning who's like, oh man, I don't know if you realize, he said, I hope you realize, what you've built here and, how much we get out of this. And, I've been living in Sydney for 5 years and had not really made any friends. And then now I train here, and the way that you treat people and the way that, now that these guys that I train with, they're my friends, and it's just amazing. Or I've had parents say to me, oh, my son, he's such a different person now. Like, you don't realize how much you've helped him grow and whatever. Or another guy I've had say to me, literally said, man, you saved my life. You don't understand. I'm like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. I'm just teaching jiu-jitsu. And he's like, no, you don't understand, man. You don't understand what I've been going through and how you've saved my life by how jiu-jitsu saved my life. And so that's definitely really special. And that's something that I hope will continue to happen for the rest of my career. But I don't know, it's hard to fully understand how much of a positive impact you can have on someone's life, because for everyone it's different. But it means a lot when I hear that from students or parents or whatever, it's definitely one of the reasons I do what I do. It's not like I like you less because you haven't said that to me. I just like you less anyway. But you know, like, okay, so for me, jiu-jitsu is what I do for a career, but is it something that saved my life? No, not necessarily. It wasn't like I was on my way to juvie and then I found jiu-jitsu. But, you know, other people, you know, I've had students who maybe they haven't said jiu-jitsu saved my life in those words, but they've said something like, oh man, I easily could have gone down a path of like drugs and guns and whatever. And all my friends from school are in and out of jail, and jiu-jitsu keeps me kind of on the straight and narrow or whatever. It's such a powerful tool to positively impact people's lives. Yeah, especially for kids or teenagers through their formative years. I think it's really powerful, and if I can help do that, and I really try to create an atmosphere at the gym that allows that services everyone, and what I mean by that is I want a gym where you can have this really hard competitive training, but it doesn't, you know, we can all still be friends, and you can also at the same time help people grow as an individual, that more sort of profound la-di-da-di side of it. I think it's a super important part of the community of jiu-jitsu and what we do. And yeah, for me, that's really special. It's one of the best moments / accomplishments / reason I do it, to positively impact people's lives, not only make them better at jiu-jitsu, but if they can just, by default of being in the gym, be a happier person, I mean, that pays dividends to me. Kieran's got
Profound,
this look,
man.
Kieran's got this look on his face of, I understood nothing.
No, you do not know how to read people's faces, Adam.
We've established I don't know how to read at all, let alone a face. Yeah, but it is. It's really special, man. Like when someone, you know,
absolutely.
like I can't think how to put it into other words, but yeah, I've literally had people say, "Man, you saved my life," and I'm like, man, surely not, you know? And they're like, "No, you don't get it," you know? They're simply telling me you don't, and I don't know. Maybe this person is sitting there. Maybe they're not divulging everything. For all I know, they're sitting there being like, "Dude, you don't realize like the gun was loaded." Like, I don't know. Maybe someone was, as in, you saved my life, as in I was suicidal or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But so they might mean it with the full weight of those words. But even if it's not to that extreme, like the guy this morning was saying, it's just like, man, he wasn't saying it as in, oh, I'm going to cry, you saved my life. But it's just like, man, I've been in Sydney for 5 years, didn't really make any friends. And now I'm here in this training this awesome sport that I love, and I'm making friends, and like, fuck, like it's amazing. Like I have something now. You know, and that's huge. It's awesome. You can make someone happy, you know. If I can make you happy and choke you at the same time. Maybe I'm in the wrong industry. Hang on. Let me rethink my business approach.
Yeah, there's a niche for that.
Yeah, but it's definitely I like seeing people get better at jiu-jitsu, of course. But, you know, if I can
have a positive impact on people's lives and have a profound impact, you would say.
You know, like
that's awesome.
Another recent one was, let's say when Sophia won that last competition, Sophia, a purple belt of mine, she was only recently a blue belt. She'd gone a long time only ever getting silver. So it was really important. Like she really wanted to win a gold. And I remember just any little role I played in that achievement of hers to win a gold at blue belt, like I was just like super pumped on that, you know. That was maybe selfishly I was super pumped about it, but it's like more for her, I think. But like moments like that, I really enjoy with jiu-jitsu, or even, you know, sometimes, you know, just being able to, I don't know, help a kid, stop them from crying and make them feel better or whatever. I like that side of things.
You're a good guy, Adam.
As well as ripping your legs off.
Yeah.
So I think they would be, you know, if I tried to narrow it down to 5 moments / accomplishments, I'm no world champion, but for me, they're the things that I've accomplished and the things that the moments that are important to me.
You're a champion in my eyes.
Oh, thanks, man.
Anyway.
Oh, I forgot to mention that day. All right, Kieren said I had to stay The number one accomplishment is when Kieren Lefebvre started training with me.
Excellent.
Yay.
And on that note, there's no gun to his head.
Guys, remember episode 90 is our next Ask a Black Belt. By the time if you're listening to this live, you'll still have a little bit of time to get in your audio questions.
Yeah, you have a week. Let's go.
Instagram, it's in the link tree in the bio, right? Click on the link, audio question. If you want to go a bit further, we've got our Patreon. Episode 100's coming up as well, so that's going to be cool. And otherwise, we will catch you on the flip side.